episode 334 of Gold Squadron Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, William Carver, expert Hegwood. Today, I'm joined by Marcel. Cats make the best dogs, Manzano.
Meow, wolf. Wolf, meow.
Ryan, Spooky Time, Staniszewski.
It's that time of year to be spooked and get spooked.
And James, CIS is a real faction, I promise. James Ritter.
Doing my best to not fly fire sprays in this silly faction, but it's difficult. But it's rewarding.
There you go. Before we get to our headlines, we're talking about XTC updates and getting some listener questions out of the mailbag. I gotta talk about how these podcast episodes are brought to you in there by our GSP patrons. Becoming a patron makes you a part of our largest group of supporters of what GSP does. They have access to patron-only channels in our Discord and a bunch of other cool roles there as well. It also helps us get to in-person events like the Las Vegas Open. I think it's our next biggest one. Me and James are heading out to in Las Vegas in January, I believe. So you can check that out.
Nobody's doing PAX?
PAX didn't work out, I don't think. That was
Okay.
not an option, unfortunately. We looked into it, but not available. But if you want to make sure we get out to that Las Vegas Open, check out patreon.com/Gold Squadron. Become a patron today. So let's jump into the latest of the team tournaments going on right now. The XTC, the International Team Championship, 27 nations battling it out for the ability to get into the top 10, which will be a 2-day cut. Right now it's a league style. We're going week by week, fighting everybody in our group. Most groups have 5, a couple have 6 teams in them, and teams are playing each team in their group, so like a pod system into an eventual cut. The cuts have always been round robin as well, though, right? We always play 9 rounds over 2 days. Not always.
No, we just did the just this second. Kenny published the pairings, and I don't like it. Or Team USA. That's why I was making the face.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. No, it's 9 rounds, or 9 games over the finals weekend.
Right. So you played the other teams that made it. The other of the 10 who made it.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. The groups, they're of 5, A, B, C, D, and E. USA and the USA Islands are both in Group D. So why don't we start, as most of our discussion...
And we have 6. There's 2 groups with 6. So it's
D and E.
3 groups with 5 and 2 groups with 6 teams.
Yeah, so most familiar with our group. We're gonna learn what's up in the other groups, though. But right now in Group D, we have Team USA, the mainland, out here at 2-0. 7 of 3 games in our win and loss. Spain, Mexico, U.S. Islands, Poland, all at 1-1, and Serbia at 0-2. So still pretty tight. We were able to beat out Serbia week 1 last week in a very close match against the U.S. Islands. We were able to go 3-2, get that win as well. Who did Poland beat Spain? But who did Poland lose to last week?
Mexico, they lost 4-1 to Mexico.
4-1 to Mexico. Wow, yeah. An upset. Well, maybe maybe Mexico not as weak as everyone may
You
have
better
been
not
thinking.
say Mexico's weak because that's who we're playing this week. So
Hey, you know,
yeah.
turns.
You don't want to. You don't want to light a fire. I light a fire. You don't want to light a fire.
Hey, you know, I've said it many times of like you don't get softballs in or like slow pitches in XTC. Every team is a good team, turns out. So yeah, little things about pairings, because we do set our own pairings. We don't set the scenario for each round, but we do find the matchups there. So at least everyone else has a loss. So gives us a little bit of breathing room there. Though Spain and Poland may be the favorites. Still,
No, come on.
Still a lot. Well, somebody was like, Spain and Poland have always made cut. I was like, well, you know what team in Group D has also always made cut? It's USA. So, but yeah, that's super exciting to say the parents just went up. I can't look at them. I can't look at them. I'll have too many opinions about that right now.
Yeah.
Let's go check James, you got Group A pulled up. What can you tell me about Group A?
Yeah, let's take a look. We have Germany, New Zealand, Switzerland, the Netherlands, and the Philippines, and looking pretty similar. Because is Group D has 6 teams. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Yeah. So group.
Yeah. There's
So
a
there's
bye week
the
for
first.
everybody else.
So A, B, and C. Everyone. The one team has a bye week every week.
Gotcha. All right, so it looks like Germany is leading the pack with 2-0 with 8 wins so far. So just a commanding 4-1, 4-1, or a 5-0, 3-2. Wow, great start for Germany. Going to give a lot of breathing room. What's the tiebreaker after wins?
The wins and losses.
So it's team wins then individual wins.
It
That's
does
why
go down to individual? Okay.
Yeah, that's the tiebreaker it's showing right there is that 8-2.
Gotcha. So that is a big big win for Germany, having so many individual wins under their belt already.
It looks like Germany had gone 4-1 against the Philippines and 4-1 against New Zealand.
Yeah, that checks. Everyone else in the group is just looks like they've been being bullied by Germany. New Zealand does have a win at 1-1 right now with four individual wins. Same thing for Switzerland, 1-1 with 4 individual wins. The Netherlands and Philippines with no team wins, but Netherlands has 2 wins and Philippines has 1. So, at what point are teams quote unquote out of the cut?
They're not really out of the cut until think about it. It's 4 games. So I would say if you lose 2, you're probably out at 2.
Yeah. So in this case, no one is even out yet, right?
Yeah, but 2 from each. So 2 from each group are gonna advance.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I would say you need to
that's
win.
Why that tiebreaker is so important. Like individual wins are just as strong as getting the team wins.
Yeah, because it's quite possible everybody goes 2-2 and just like the entire.
Yeah. One person goes X and 1, and then everybody else is X and 2, and it's who got those bigger wins.
Yeah. So, Philippines, Netherlands not out of the fight yet, but they do have a big uphill battle to climb.
Yes, indeed. Let's see who the Philippines playing this week. Playing Switzerland this week. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Because that's going to. Oh no, it's the Netherlands was the other person.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, people are getting
They're
2
playing
losses.
Germany.
When that happens.
Yeah, Netherlands is playing Germany, so we'll see.
All right. Well, let's keep moving on over to Group B. Ryan, give me the rundown on Group B.
So Group B, we have Colombia on top right now with the 2 wins, and I don't know if maybe we have some games. Does this make sense to have a team with? Let's see, we got 2 wins: Ireland with 1, Hellas with 1, Wales with 0, and Scotland with 0. Wales and Scotland have not finished their games out. It looks like because they
No,
only
it's
have
because
one.
they both had a bye. So every team has a bye once a week. So Scotland and Wales already had their bye in the first
So
2
they each
weeks.
have already had their bye. Got it.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yep. No one's obviously ran away with this. Yeah, Colombia only has on the tiebreaker 6 of 4 or six wins, 4 losses in direct.
Yeah, so they
matchups.
basically went 3-2, 3-2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
two,
actually
3-2s.
shocked here though. I don't think anybody expected Colombia to start off
No.
2-0.
No, I like that is like if I was looking at this, I'd been like, all right, this is between like Ireland and Scotland, like straight up to me. But hey,
Or
you know,
Wales, yeah.
yeah, Wales too.
This is like the UK region without actually England
Without
in there.
actually having England. Yeah.
Ireland and Scotland played last week, and they had it was a 5-0 to Ireland.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's big stuff. I just saw
7-3.
Scotland and did not have a single win, and they've already had their bye.
Yeah, playing on the back foot.
Halas is completely even. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. At 5-5, so they've done a 3-2 and a 2-3.
It's Hellas, it's basically Greece.
Gotcha. I thought the flag was Greece, but okay. Yeah, I think that one's still very much up in the air. Scotland would have a decent hill to climb, though, being at, even if they would have to 5-0 their next opponent to kind of like equal themselves out.
If they win 3 and they end up 3-1, they can make it without tiebreakers.
Yeah, true.
But, yeah.
That's all you do. Win 3 more.
So yeah, it looks like based on the record score there, yeah. So Ireland was the one who beat them 5-0 because they have 7 wins and 3 losses. So
yeah,
Ireland's only loss was a 2-3.
Yeah, so they had a 5-0 and a 2-3, which it's actually a great record for them because all they need to do is like win one more game, and they're essentially a high spot for cut.
Yeah, so we see Colombia at the top right now, but Ireland can easily hop over them if they can equal out their win totals between the two of them. Then Ireland has a much better tiebreaker for now. We'll see as it goes forward.
If Colombia loses a game or loses a round, then Ireland could definitely skip over and take first there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we need to. Let me. Oh, that's right. I can't copy and paste these. Let me click your link on here. Because there's one thing I did want to note here, because this actually gives us a great overview of the teams and their factions. I just wanted to point out some outliers that we were noticing before, and there's very few of them. But back in Group A, as a note, Netherlands is one of the very few teams.
One out of 2 scum.
Yeah, not only are they flying scum, they're not flying resistance, if you can believe it.
Yeah, I think there's only 2 teams not flying resistance.
Yeah.
And 2 teams taking scum, and they're both.
Yeah, it's just interesting as a note to point out like what factions these teams ended up choosing, because normally we're just gonna write up like separatist and scum, but it's not always true. But we kind of like they're low hanging fruit, so we kind of beat up on them. But that's not necessarily the case, as we do see Hellas get a separatist in there, and they're not flying Grand Republic. Instead, it seems most teams are dead set on First Order, Empire, and Rebels.
And Resistance.
And Resistance. Most people are
Yeah.
pretty
So they
sold on those.
Yeah, so they have one flex.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah, every team is taking Empire, and all but one are taking First Order.
Empire.
And
Out of all the factions that would have unified these teams, they chose Empire.
it's just fun to play, right?
No, I've been playing too much Empire, and it is awful. Not it's a great faction you could win with, but it feels not as deep as the other ones. So maybe it's just me. I mean, we are seeing like Decimators and Countdown now, so really going full circle on Empire. But let's keep moving over to Group C. Marcel, give us a rundown on Group C.
That is a team with Kalmar Union. Who is Kalmar Union? I think Kalmar Union is two different teams in the northeast part of Europe, I believe.
I want to say I thought it was Norway and Sweden, but now maybe I'm
Is it?
mistaken.
It could be. Let's look at the players. Oh yeah, it's gotta be. It's gotta be. Nicholas Scott is on there and Carlson. Yeah.
Scandinavia and Sweden.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'm just looking at the players' their name. So we've got them. Let's just call it them. So we've got them, and then we've got
They have names.
Brazil, England, Australia. The Australia who let everyone down last year, and Hungary. And Kalmar Union is up. Now they're not really up. Are they really up 2-1 already?
It's because they played a game this week already.
Okay, so what's their actual?
They are 1-1. They lost to Hungary, and they beat Brazil.
Okay, so Kalmar is 1-1. Brazil is 1-1, I assume, as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Brazil's had 3 ties in matchups already. That's crazy.
Oh yeah, you can see it right there. England is 1-1.
Brazil is 0-2, as a note.
Oh, Brazil is 0-2.
Yeah, they're winning this week because they have a win over Hungary already.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so they might be winning their first.
They lost to Kalmar and then they lost to England.
So does that mean that Hungary is 1-0?
Hungary probably has a. It's confusing because you're seeing this week's.
And so Hungary must have won their first game, and they're losing the first game of this round.
Yeah,
exactly.
Hungary is currently 1-0, and they've lost the first game of the round.
Okay, and Australia is 1-0 or 0-1?
Australia they had a bye week 1, and then round 2 they won.
Round 3. Okay, so
they
they're
went 3-2 against England.
The loss of the first game of round 3.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, this is confusing.
Look at this.
You guys stop playing your games already? It's didn't we just announce?
It's like Tuesday in Australia, so
yeah.
To be fair.
So basically, England is 1-1. Everybody's got either one win, and Brazil is the only one with 2 losses. So,
yes,
that's basically the nuts and bolts.
Yeah, Brazil with 3 ties already. You're right. That is wild.
Yeah, only getting one official win in both of their previous weeks is rough.
Well, they got their 1 week. I mean, their 1 win for this week already. They should be good.
All right. Hey, you know what?
Yeah.
Well, hard to say, but if anything, Australia is coming out of the gates hot with that win over England.
Yeah.
We would assume England and Kalmar would be the predicted 2.
The favorites. They're the
favorites, yes, but not
the
necessarily.
rank or the seeded.
There you go. Yes, that's a good way to put it. They are the seeded teams coming into the group. Not necessarily, definitely not necessarily the best though, as they're still to fight it out. But wow, So yeah, Group D or Group C rather, very close. Let's see. Well, we talked about Group D already, so that just leaves Group E. Let's see here. So Group E is France, Pirates, the wonderful nation of pirates, Canada, Czech Republic, South Africa, and Norway. And right now, France and the Pirates are 2-0. France beat out the Czech Republic and South Africa, facing off against Norway this week. So it'll be a while before we see the Pirates face off against France. I have to wait until next week, it looks like. Pirates beat out Canada. Oh no, the returning champions. And then they also beat out South Africa to get the 2 wins each. So South Africa and Norway off to a rough start at 0-2. But, I mean, as we were talking about the thresholds, so, like, still possible at 2 losses as long as everybody else starts taking losses quick.
No, because this is one of the 16, so they're playing 5 rounds, 3-2.
Yeah, 3-2.
They might still be able to make it with 3-2. Yeah,
3-2. So it's going to be rough, but that's probably where we're going to see the second place tiebreaker at, is like 3-2.
At 3-2. Yeah.
At this level of competition, I feel like if you could beat all but one team, you're doing great. Like, that X and 1 is the goal, right? I think that's literally what I told our team. Is like, as long as we beat, 2 out of the 3 remaining rounds, should be able to get in. But yeah, hot off out of the gates, anyways. France and the Pirates, so they still had to face each other, and they had to face the Canada as well.
So Canada got beat by Czech Republic then? I was wondering who their loss was.
No, they got beat by the Pirates.
Oh, okay. I thought so. France was to face Canada. I thought you said
Yes.
both Pirates and France seemed to face Canada.
No, Pirates.
I was gonna say Canada's the defending champs, so
you'd think so.
I think it might actually help them a bit that it's a 6-team, maybe. Being 1-1 now, you got a little more room to come back, but also a little more room to not.
Yeah, we do have to play that 5th game, which will be tough. But, I mean, at least, if you just get the wins. If you just get 4 wins, it doesn't matter what your individual tiebreakers are. So, still, pretty exciting stuff. Let's check back in a couple weeks to see who is clinching these the group stages, if anybody is able to guarantee their spot into the Top Cup.
You paused a long time after the word "these." I genuinely thought you were gonna say, we'll come back to see who's clinching these, and I thought you were gonna say cheeks. I don't know why.
No.
Like, who's about to get eliminated?
No. Yeah, well, we'll have to. Be worried.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to talk a lot of smack about how all the hard work USA has done to pay off, pays off. But we reserve our excitement, we'll say, until the Top Cup.
The combine did well.
Yeah, hopefully. Diablo, you actually asking a perfect question. So we did want to mention that before we go into our mailbag. Take some of our questions off of our Discord. If you're not joined in on the Discord, it's the best place to talk about X-Wing and Gold Squadron podcast. So definitely check it out. This is where all of our questions from today are coming from. But Diablo asks about on the non-YouTube podcast, and it combines in with the other thing that we wanted to be transparent about, as Dion always says, right? We're not trying to hide anything around here. We just want to let you know when we can. But right now, there's a few people asking for updates regarding the prizes for yet to be received, like prior GSB events, like the Sector Series. I just wanted to let everybody know that we do see your questions and are aware of the concerns. As Dion has stepped back into the producer role, not here with us weekly on the cast, we cannot directly answer those questions, but we will have updates on that in the future. So stay tuned for either, if you're a Patreon, the Patreon channel, or obviously the Discord is the best place to get updates on that. And that the podcasts, they kind of fall into the same realm. Dion's got to wait for me, I got to wait for Dion, that kind of stuff. So there's a delay in the podcast going up to Apple and Spotify. Podbean, I think is the other one. There's a couple I'm not familiar with, but yes, just because I'm doing this part on Monday, and then Dion catches up with that later. There's a small delay, so hopefully, as we continue to work through this new system and process, we can get it narrowed down, get it out more consistent and faster for you guys. But just wanted to get that out there to let everybody know that it's not it's not something that we're trying to ignore. We're actively trying to resolve it. So just like I said, updates will follow when we can. But enough of that. Let's dive into some listener questions. Ryan, which one should we start off with?
I think I'm gonna start off with the one that seems to be asked, I think, the most, in sometimes slightly different ways, but at least Elliot Waits, Dale Cromwell, and Innkeeper16 all asked, do we think there's going to be a points update before the 2024 Worlds, aka the next Worlds in Chicago at Adepticon? That's the simple starting point. There's a couple other questions we'll get to along our conversation. Do I think AMG will do it? That's tough to say. I think personally it'd be really interesting to not have a points update for an entire calendar year up till the next Worlds. Unless AMG believed there was a game breaking issue that they needed to fix and target that fix specifically, versus what people believe would be sort of a small patch on the way to Worlds, right? It's not a full update like we got the last update, which was after the previous Worlds. That was a pretty big change across the board. The one that would probably happen sort of, quote, mid-season might be more on the level of this is a patch with tweaks and things that need adjustments to kind of draw back some of the stuff that's a little ahead of the curve. But I don't know if anything is so drastically ahead of the curve. There's some stuff behind the curve, maybe a little bit. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think it's going to happen?
When was the last points update? June? It was only a month or two.
It was before. It was around Memorial Day weekend or the week before that. So
okay.
It was about the third week of May.
Okay.
It was intended to be used legally beginning of June, though.
Okay. Yeah, the date of that, to me, makes it feel like they want those points throughout the whole season. as you mentioned, would have gotten a like mid-season patch or whatever you want, update on it. But that time is pretty much come and gone as we're already in November now. So if they don't do it by the end of the year, I would imagine we won't see one until after Worlds.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
do
think it
feel like
should
the,
be
the, the
by
clock is
December, or
ticking.
you want to give at least a few months to let people settle into the new points.
Right.
I personally would like to see new points. Just just from a fun standpoint, I think it shakes stuff up, makes stuff a little fun. Even it doesn't have to be like a whole drastic change, but just a little, just a little fun. Make some things that aren't as good a little bit better. Not necessarily even having to nerf some stuff, but there's a couple things like saturation salvos, kind of, eh. There's a couple things out there that could probably. I think Ruthless is one that I would like to see 2 points, because Ruthless is
Wow. Okay.
is as a 1 point. There's a couple things, a couple tweaks that don't break anything, don't really, but it just adds a little spice.
Yeah, like comparing Ruthless to Marksmanship is like not even funny. I think you would take you would take Ruthless in almost every instance, unless you're running like a 3-ship build or something.
So this is actually kind of funny because I feel like Ruthless is not showing up that much, but has a little bit. Like, I've done some testing in Empire, and I definitely like Ruthless too. I agree, but it's
It's
interesting
not
to
showing up
hear.
because people aren't using it, but not because it's worth more. It's not worth more than 1 point.
Sure, yeah, no, there's people have an adverse effect to, like, oh, I hate doing damage to myself just to do damage to my opponent. Like, that is a mindset some people have, which was the reason why that upgrade won't be taken as much as like a marksmanship. But I sure like guidance chips for people who remember that card. Actually, James, so Eek Pair follows up. Do you think we even need new points?
I think that I guess I'll clarify. Do we need new points? Like if we were to have the current season all the way up into Worlds, would it be okay? Yes. However, do we need new points to keep things fresh? I think it would be a most welcomed update. I think for a lot of people, especially some that have been getting a little bit bored or uh, frustrated with the current meta of, arcs, Han, and, bombers. But I don't think we need one. I definitely think a lot of people want one, though.
Will, do you think we need it?
No, I think we're still seeing innovation. We're definitely not seeing like as much as we complain about Han and just terrorizing things, and the set salvo bombers, they really have ended up being more of gatekeepers than tournament winners. It seems like it's always an unusual list that someone doesn't have an answer or doesn't have practice against that kind of finds its way to the top. Whether it's 5-ship rebels, all of a sudden, 5-ship rebels without Han, like pseudo Heritanis, but not always. I guess Heritani needs Jin, so it might not be a apt comparison. Sure. But and then things like Paul Heavers, Padme, Anakin, 3 arcs, kind of set the standard, but only for a little while. Then it kind of, people started innovating on that. So if the meta is still fluid, that as I think it is, I don't think it's necessary right now. There's nothing that, to me, screams, busted or whatever.
So, Marcel, you already kind of alluded to, like, because Sayor Frey also posted if you can make points tweaks, not large ones before Worlds, so would you make? So you mentioned like Ruthless and Saturation Salvo. Are you more of the mindset that if changes did occur, you're targeting upgrades more so than pilots, it sounds like.
No,
Or
I
are
think
there
there's
some pilots you had in mind too?
I think there's some pilots that are potentially, there's room for making them better. So the B wings, I think you got Gina, that's good, but outside of Gina, you know, B wings have traditionally been pretty decent. They're not seeing a lot of play. U wings, I think there's an opportunity to make the U wings a little bit more playable. And again, playable doesn't mean make them cheaper. It could mean increase their loadout. So you can keep them at the same cost, increase their loadout. There's X-wings and T-70s and a lot of stuff I think is in a good spot, but there are a few. And then Scum in general, I think Scum can possibly benefit from a little bit more variety. I also think that Scum is largely unexplored. I think there's probably some things out there like Dace Bonearm. Dace Bonearm is really good. And nobody's using them. And the people that are flying Scum, they're just like, jumping straight to the Fen routes. So I mean, yeah, there's little tweaks that you can do pilots, but it wouldn't be. I can't think of anything that I would want to see change if we're doing minor changes where you're changing the cost of the ship. I think changing the loadouts probably makes more sense.
Gotcha. So in a way, it is more focused on the upgrades, but even if it's not directly upgrade cards, it's the ability to take amount of upgrades or certain upgrades because of loadout value.
Mm-hmm.
You feel pretty comfortable in general with the point cost of most ships right now in the game.
Yeah, I mean, the number of ships that you can fit is seems like it's a good number of ships. It's just, for example, if you make I said the U wings, if you make the U wings or the B wings have better loadout, you would probably start seeing those in place of maybe the Boracay or different things. I don't think you're ever going to see it in place of like a Luke, but you'll see it in place of, or even taking, something like Wedge and Sabine, the 5 points there, and applying that 5 points to, to something that's a little bit more beefy and a support that punches. So just adds more variety.
Yeah, I would have to agree that I can't think of a specific pilot that is egregiously expensive. But I think about the only thing I would small tweak is I'd raise the cost of Bistan by 4 points. So you can still have the perceptive Bistan combo, but you don't get anything else with it.
You lose engine and chopper, or you lose trick shot, depending on what you do.
So no frills, but you still get to do the combo.
I'll give you another example, because in First Order, you take all of those 4-point side shuttles, and they're all somewhere between 10 to 15 loadout points. If you take them and you give them 22 loadout points, now there's reason to there's enough loadout value in there too. Because you can throw some really good crew or some good support stuff.
Yeah, I guess I don't know what all fits on that, but I don't even know if there's that much more valuable crew that exists that you couldn't already put on their chassis. Everything else is you could fit more stuff, but it's Agent Terex is probably the number one. Phasma's helpful for the ship itself and potentially some of the ships around it.
Yeah, but you can start getting into sensor buoys and just additional kinds of things that provide additional support. But you're right. I'm looking through what they have. I mean, they have Captain Phasma.
Yeah, there's not
Kylo,
a remade snow crew yet, because that one has dial peaking. It's Commander Pyre got banned. That would have been that was a strong effect. I don't know. I'm curious if they brought Commander Pyre back out of the ban list, because now because Commander Pyre was allowed to be used before. I guess to help clarify for people who haven't seen Commander Pyre in a while, because he was banned in the last update. Actually, not the last one. After the first iteration of Scenario, where you could score first turn. Commander Pyre was set up after placing forces, choose an enemy ship, it gains 2 stress tokens. While you defend, if the attacker stressed, you roll 1 defense dice. So now that the game is at least 1 turn slower on the need of engagement, I mean, there's a lot of engagement that happens turn 2 normally, so it could still be a strong effect. But I wonder if it could be allowed to come back.
I don't know. In a faction that has decloaking whispers, I don't really want that.
Well, there's that. Yeah, decloaking silencers too, sir.
Yeah, decloaking silencers. I just remember Pyre. When I played it, I had a decloaking silencer that I will just fly straight at that stress chip and just keep it locked down for the whole game. Basically, you don't get any actions. So I don't know. It's very viable. It's hard to judge the value of that Pyre crew. Let me tell you, it would have to come in at pretty expensive.
Probably would need to be, yeah. I don't know, James, you got a question in mind next?
Let me take a look. That's a good one from Blue Jello or Kevin L. What are your guilty pleasure pilots that you enjoy flying, even if they're not top tier in the current meta? Man, I don't think there's much more than I enjoy than Luminara. Just especially when combined with Padme, seeing someone roll 2 focuses and a hit out of hand, and me change one of those focuses or one of those hits to a focus, and then say, "You can change one of these. The other 2 are mine." Even if it's not great, especially without that Padme arc, I think just that 4-point Luminara CLT is a great fun piece, because you can instantly transition into attack as soon as you line up a bullseye. What about you guys? You guys have a guilty pleasure pilot that's probably not great, but is really fun to fly?
I would have said Hollow as my guilty pleasure, but maybe not maybe not a obscure ship, as we still see some first order pilots taking it. So if I had to go outside of the meta, it's Jack Porkins, especially the boy Jack Porkins, where you can
with the sublight.
Yeah, the sublight explosion or whatever. just the fun of like Talon rolling through a rock with like a loose stabilizer to just blow up right in front of all of my opponent's ships. Very funny.
I'm gonna say Baby Anakin in the Naboo Starfighter. We were talking about not changing points. I think he needs to be 4 points. If Padme is 4 points, he needs to be 4 points.
Yeah, I had a close second with Annie in one. I agree. I think him being a 4 points with exactly 12 loadout, where he can take proton torpedoes but nothing else, I think that'd be fine.
Yeah, because you've got even the way he's at now, he can take proton torpedoes passive and lone wolf or something like that. Or some astromech, like the astromech maybe that gives them the evades, convert evades to hits. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that one too.
Something like that, but yeah, just no, it's not R4P, it's R2C4.
C4, yeah.
But yeah, he needs to be 4 points. But that's probably the ship that I wish I could play more often and don't because he's 1 point too much.
Yeah, I keep wanting to reach for him whenever I want to experiment, but every time I put it on the table and it's 5 points, I'm just like, that is miserable for
For one
list
torp.
building.
Shooting like
Yeah,
one plasma torpedo.
yeah, that is miserable for list building and being able to still fit like a rest of a list around it.
So, I mean, technically within the faction it's in, it probably would be considered a meta pilot, but the faction's so bad that it never sees play anyway. I really enjoy Siege Coruscant DIST-81, the 4-point tri-fighter that gets to reroll everything without maneuver and afterburners. That thing is so fun
Yeah.
to play and forces some difficult decisions by your opponent. It's probably one of the best one-on-one ships, one of the best one-on-one ships in the game, pound for pound, with its value at 4 points. Like, your opponent has to commit easily more than 4 points to go get it, and it can draw a whole lot of aggro. And if it doesn't, it gets outmaneuvered afterburners. And just being able to say, all right, I see these 3 green dice. Okay, I'm gonna be able to roll these 6. I'm gonna be able to roll a total of 6 green dice actually to find the most amount of evades possible. Sure, I'll end up however much strained I am, but guess what? I'm still alive, and I've taken the least amount of damage I could possibly muster with an evade, and basically rolling 6 green dice and pick the 3 best one.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, go ahead.
I was like, I do really love playing that guy with the because it's just if he's only rolling one type of dice pool per, like, one of each per turn, like, he is a monster out there.
Oh yeah, if he only has to reroll 1 green and like 1 red each turn, like, he's
Yeah,
blue move and clear him, no problem, easy.
see, I was gonna do a blue move anyway.
Yeah.
But even when he needs to dig deep for those greens or those reds on like critical moment, it's like, okay, cool. Now I'm just the best Rose impression out there, right? Or I don't even know, like Boba Fett almost, where it's just he rerolls all of his dice all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't even matter if you're already strained or stressed. So yeah, when you're down to when you've taken 2 or 3 strain and you have to do a blue move and you're still stuck with 1 or 2, whatever, like, doesn't mean you can't keep doing that. You just have 1 less dice in your pool to figure it out. That's normally like if you get multiple deplete, you could probably stay in the fight a little bit. If you get multiple strain, you should probably leave and come back later real quick.
Yeah, but
Minimize the amount of shots you take. The default action for that ship is evade, unless you know 100% you're not being shot. But even then, like, taking a single calculate isn't going to help you a ton for defense. It'd be a pure offensive choice because there's more blanks on a green die than there are eyeballs, and you can convert eyeball or a blank with an evade token. So if you think you're gonna be shot at all, just take the evade. And because you have the ability to reroll offensively, basically have an evade target lock.
yeah, I think it's a super cool pilot.
Well, Marcel, what questions do you guys want to take next? Unless did we miss someone's guilty pleasure, or do we have everyone's taken care
No,
of?
I think we did. Will, did you give a guilty pleasure?
Yeah,
I think he said hollow, right?
Okay.
Porkins and Hollow. Is Hollow meta?
Porkins.
I don't know. I was the only Hollow.
Hollow's
kinda
meta.
is.
No,
Yeah,
if Hollow and Vonreg are the same cost right now, a lot of people just default to Vonreg. I don't know if that's right, but that's what they do.
I bet.
All right.
I don't know if that's right.
All right. So let's go with Carrie Favela here, local. If Worlds was this weekend, what would you fly? That's So I'm gonna answer this 2 ways. If Worlds was this weekend, what would I fly? I would probably fly Delta 7B Anakin, Rico Lay, Arc, Click, and Slider. Just because that's what I have the most success with and the most practice with. If Worlds was in a month and I had a month to basically put time to a different list, I would probably fly a version of 5T70s. So again, it would probably be three. The one that I'm leaning towards right now is Nien Num, LO at Sea, Temmin Wexley. What is it called? The
Corvus?
Plasma Y-wing.
Oh,
No, the
Zori?
Plasma Y-wing.
Zori.
Zori and Corliss. Yeah, that one. So basically, 2 wartime Y-wings and 3 T70s is probably what I would try to put some rounds to get.
Man, leaving Jess Pava at home? That's rough.
Yeah, I flew just Pava last time, and actually I got to the final with her, but against the arcs and against a lot of other stuff, that I-5 plasma torpedo just would do a lot better. But
You
otherwise,
can have both.
You could, but no. Wait, I would have to give up Nien Num or something in order to get both.
Correct.
No, I'm not giving up Nien Num. Nien Num is the most fun ship.
Oh, he's
out there,
very
so-
fun. Very fun.
Yeah,
He was
so
close
that
to
one,
my guilty pleasure choice. He's very fun.
yeah. If I'm not flying
Yeah,
7B
breaking the rules,
Anakin,
real
I'm
fun.
gonna. Yeah, if I'm not flying
Rules
7B
don't
Anakin,
apply
I'm
to
flying
me.
something like that. Yeah, yeah. I mean, he can do all kinds of boosty, barrel rolly, turnaroundy.
I heard you guys get
Shoot,
stressed
yeah.
when you bump focus.
No, nerds.
Nine Nub, just a smug 9 Nub. You nerds get stressed when you
Yeah.
do that? Man.
Yeah. Who is stressed? Why are y'all worried about it?
I know.
You guys are getting
Like-
stressed? Yeah.
You guys are getting stressed out here.
You blocked my K turn. Oh,
Oh no.
Oh no.
I'll
Well,
take a
wow.
no. I guess I'll take a stress. Nope. I guess I'll just take a focus. Easy.
Actually, that is a good question. Does he
Yes.
is he allowed to take
Yes.
his bump focus on a 4K if he bumps?
100%.
Because-
Yep.
Because
Yep.
you
Oh, I hate that.
you check
hate that.
difficulty, and then
Yep.
you do the bump focus.
Yep. No, I see the math. I just refuse to like it.
yeah. So to answer your question, Ryan, no, I'm not dropping Nien Num. But it would be the 2 Y-wings, 3 T70s in a month. If it was this weekend, it'd be the 7B Anakin one. You guys?
Yeah, I would say if I knew like ahead of time, I would probably prepare a 5T70 list. If it was this weekend, I would fly like Vader bombers, just because it's what I know. It's what I've this season had the most experience with.
Yeah, I think to meld that together, I guess. I've tried both rack bombers and 5T70. I think at this point it'd be hard for me not to play a 5T70 variation. It's basically, as we talked about, 3x plus 2 things. I don't know if I would stick with all 4-point version or the new wrinkle in all of it. And this is not the 9 nub plus a 3-pointer. This is the Commander Poe plus a BB-8. Hello, Snap and Jess. Which, granted, yes, it leaves out Zori, but now Poe's the Plasma Torp carrier at I6, double modded, easy. So I think I'm trying to figure out a lot with him. Granted, like, even though I did really well with him at Nova, by no means is that the final form. There's so many completely reasonable variations of 5T70 that can still do very good, that pretty much like my mission leading up to this Worlds is figuring out what's the right combination in 5 ship resistance right now. Because I think resistance is the best faction in the game, but they might not have the best list in the game, if that makes sense.
What about you, James?
Probably that Padme and who are Gloomy Rick that have been flying all these store champs. I think it's just the most consistency that I've gotten out of my play. So it has some good meta pieces. and still has something that I enjoy flying. So, which is important for me, and the fact that I built it myself before it was cool definitely has added benefits to it.
You're just Krennic right now.
I
You
know.
stand here
Yeah.
amongst my achievement,
Amongst
not
my achievements.
yours.
I will say the Rick was definitely Will's spin on it.
No, mine was the 2 arcs. I don't know what you. I think you had a bunch of dumb stuff in there. I was like, why aren't these two Z95s just Wolf? And
He's
I
just
feel
straight
like,
calling this the version you had before this. What's this dumb stuff?
yeah. I was like, this mace should be oddball, and these two Z's should be Wolf. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I was flying the Mace 2Zs for a while instead of the
Something like
arcs.
that. I don't know. It was not
Yeah.
good though.
Yeah. Yeah, I was flying Mace 2Zs for a while. But yeah, I think with the arcs, it just provides a little bit more consistency.
Well,
And
people just don't fly right at Padme and Gunner Town.
yeah, because like you can just ignore the 2Zs, right?
Yeah, it turns out.
They cannot ignore Oddball and Wolf together. So, yeah, that's brought good success for me.
Cool. I did see Tycho in the chat, so let me hit up his question here. He says, community building ideas. My local scene started picking up after Worlds and over the summer now. And over the summer. Now, X-Wing Night at our local store is lucky to get 2 to 4 players. Any ideas? There's a couple other people also asking. Sandy, Rebel Pilot, also looking for community growing ideas and ways to know what local organizers need to do. I believe the main thing is consistency, and it sounds like at least you have an X-Wing night. That's the first step. A established X-Wing night that you can post about, whether it's flyers just hung up. Normally they have a billboard or something. You could advertise that X-Wing night. Another way would be to get an online presence, whether it's a Facebook or a Discord or anything that you can have a way for people to contact the group, especially if you're getting low numbers. Being able to organize games, being able to essentially call ahead and make sure that someone's going to be there for you. Give new players that resurgence? That's not the right. I don't know what word I'm trying to say. But the reliability that they can, when they go to the game night, they will get a game in. The other thing I would be is to organize a monthly one of your a specific X-Wing night that you play. Make it specifically a new player or a demo night where you have someone there ready to teach the game as well. That could also draw in people who, they own a Corset and they bought a Falcon because they thought they were cool and then realized they could play a game with it, so that they want to come and check it out. Someone just fresh like that may be looking for just someone to guide them in starting their X-Wing collection. Might be enough. What else do you guys think are great ways to organize a growing community?
I think a big thing is if you already have Facebook groups, Discords, ways to get in touch with your community, I think it's worth just doing a simple poll or just getting a survey or just open conversation about what people are looking for. What do they want? What days of the week best line up for everyone? And what makes sense to fit with their local store or stores that they frequent? I think especially if people are trying to figure out oh, I've done all this stuff, how do I continue building? What can we do? I think getting a pulse on your own community is a solid starting point to sort of double check yourself. Like, are you sure this is what everyone wants? Are you sure this is the best night? Is everyone sure that that's the store most people can get to easily? Like, it might have just been happenstance that everyone just kind of showed up at a certain day or night one time, and then just thought that that was like going to be continually be the best option for everyone. That might not be true, or it was true before, might not be true now, type of thing. So frequently, or probably like, I don't know, 2 or 3 times a year is probably worth just, if things aren't being consistent, or if they're not picking up steam like you think it would have based upon things you've done previously. I think getting a good pulse on your own community is a good starting point to make sure that the direction you're going is what aligns with the goals and what everyone wants to do with the game in your area.
Sound advice. Marcel, James?
I don't really
Yeah,
have many suggestions right now because it's kind of I haven't. We've got a lot of league. I'm in Chicago, and we've got a lot of league nights, and I know some communities. When I say communities, there's some stores that are getting pretty healthy number of players, and there's some stores that are kind of hit or miss or a little spotty. But I think in general, like Chicago just is is um, is a hot spot for a lot of players. I mean, we're in a we're still in a spot where our store championships are wait list, and you're waiting to make it because there's they sell out, which is I know not happening everywhere else. But I from what I see, I think it's mostly just conversation. It's inviting people to wherever you do your your talking, whether it's on Facebook Messenger or Facebook group, Discord, whatever it is that you use, WhatsApp, whatever, like whatever way you have to communicate amongst each other, and just keep conversation happening, not while you're playing. It's not just like, hey, check in, who's coming Monday, but it's like, hey, I'm looking at this list. What do you guys, and just keeping conversation moving about what you're thinking of flying, people's opinions about certain things, and just keeping X-wing top of mind, and not just X-wing, but maybe throwing like some like, hey, did you guys see Ahsoka this week? And just socializing. So I would probably say that's something that you can do to, especially like Tycho said, if you've got players that were going and they're not going anymore, you probably have their you've got their contact information or something, and just starting a chat. Oh, James.
Yeah, I don't think I can really add to what's already been said here, but just I think something we can reiterate here would be to, like Marcel said, was just keep the conversation going, not necessarily who's going to be there tonight. Hey, I'm looking at this list, or I'm having some trouble with this matchup. What are there any suggestions or things I can do in my list building to help with that? And instead of sending that into like a normal Discord, as much as we love that conversation in the GSP Discord, maybe that could be a conversation with your local meta as well. Maybe someone who knows how you like to fly, or how you usually fly, and give some more focused feedback.
It's interesting. I mean, it's creating that bond, right? Where you're just like, that rapport where you're like, oh, you know what? I did see that guy post about this list. Now I can see if him in person and talk to him and stuff like that. So, I like that, building that constant, like any relationship, right? Needs constant work to be effective. What's the next question we should take a look at? Should we do
think it's Will's choice this time.
Yeah, I think it's your turn.
Oh, okay. Let's. What was the one I was reading and was interested about? Oh, you know what? Robert. This is actually interesting. Because I was kind of thinking the same thing the other day. Robert asked, the YT2400 was reprinted earlier this year. Where is it? Ship's not showing up in any tournaments, at least not in the top cuts anyways, as we've gone over a couple here. But continues on with this question, is this a symptom of the ship is lacking, or is it just the current meta being different in a way that it would not allow the 2400 to be successful? I mean, to me, I think there's two clear problems. One, Han. Same price,
Han existing.
does the same job. Han
Better.
does it a little bit better, right? The second thing is customize dash, because I do think customize is probably better than the standardized dashes. But the customized dash having such limited options for their loadout. Almost everyone I've ever seen that was successful had child crew, ablative plating, and like lone wolf or trick shot or something like that on it, right? But it was the same upgrades. I've seen that every time, and that it still wasn't as successful as it could have been. There's no like natural pairing that it's looking for in Rebels. In Scum, you're stuck just doing whatever. So I don't even know what we see. I think we saw Lebo do well enough to get mentioned, but nowhere near like top 4 or final tables. So other than Han, and what do you guys think is the reason the 24s aren't showing up at all?
I think that bubble, that range 1 bubble is
they get reduced agility now too.
Yeah, that range 1 bubble is, I mean, for 7 points, it's just a little bit, right now with objectives and mission points, and there being a lot of just a lot of ships, and a lot of moving around ships everywhere. It's very hard for a ship to keep things at range 3, and it's very hard to keep ships away from range 1, especially when you have so many ships at I6 that can boost and barrel boost
that's just for like dash. I mean, Lebo's initiative 3, so think about all the initiative 4s in them.
We were just talking about a 5T70. All those 5T70s are boosting in range 1, and or 3 arcs. The 3 arcs that take up a lot of real estate, and they're going to be in their range 1, and they're worth 4 points to your 7 or 6 or whatever it is now. Like, it's just not. Is it 5? How much is Lebo?
Lebo's 6. Dash is 7.
Yeah, I mean, White T1300 is just so much better, and other stuff is just so much better. Like, I'd rather take Arc 170 Nora than that.
So you're saying it's more of an efficiency problem. It's just not efficient at 7 or 6 points.
Yeah,
just a single. Even if it's a 5 dice trick shot attack with the Outrider juke, it's still 1 attack.
Yeah, and that -1 agility at range 1 is just a little bit too. It's just too painful. You get to bean, hinder at range 1 and also being shooting 3 versus 1 against your 6-7 point ship. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
the at range 1, the 2400 turns into a Y-wing with a dorsal turret. It's pretty bad. What about James Ryan? Any other insight you might have on Dash or Lebo?
I think you're oddly just stuck. Like, it's a ship that came out in two very different states of factions. One in Rebel, where a comparable ship is currently one of the best ships in the game already. You would not want to replace it with now, and your only way to play that YT-2400 in Rebels is to play it with Han, most likely, which doesn't sound terrible by any means. But then you are very much limiting what you could bring in the rest of the list. If you're bringing Dash, you're looking at 7733 or 776, a three ship list, which is
Jane Ors.
not appetizing to consider most of the time. If you're bringing Lebo, you have Han, Lebo taking the spot of essentially Chopper in the VCX. We've seen Han, Chopper, Sabine, and Luke, right? I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So that's reasonable to consider, but I think Chopper just brings a bigger, easier hammer to look at your opponent. Lebo kind of has to skirt the board, and objectives need to be set in a particular way. Where if Lebo can't shoot a good target, that is still helping on that objective point front. So,
Sure.
and on the Scum side, it unfortunately didn't add enough spice to the Scum faction to build things around it to improve the faction's current state, which is not great in the first place. So if it wasn't a banger coming out to help Scum, then it's not going to see a lot of play anyway in the faction that is already not seeing a ton. Seeing more play than Separatists, so it's not the least played faction, in that picture. But I think stuff like Afra is just better right now, especially when compared to Levo. Picking a 7-point thing in Scum doesn't feel great right now, since most of their 7-point stuff went down to 6 and just lost loadout. So when you compare fitting in a Dash instead of like a Dengar or a Mandalorian or any of the YV66s or Fen Rao, right? 7 points doesn't a 7-point ship doesn't really help out Scum too much from what I can tell. The Lebo had a solid chance. There may or may not be an argument for Lebo being only SL Lebo being available for 5 points, but that I don't know if that crosses too much of a line there with the firepower it can potentially output. I don't know.
I don't want every list to have
Nah.
just like Manaru and Lebo as like half their list.
They're I3. Go kill them.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, if you
guess.
think about the 3 arcs at 12 points, those 3 arcs have a lot more consistency. They have almost as much health, and they got. I mean, yeah, I think standard loadout Levo at 5 would be just fine.
Maybe. James, what did we miss?
Oh man, so you missed so much. No, I think you guys hit it. Like, I think with so much stuff that can close into range 1, so many things with boost, so many things that, or just like bringing a lot of ships, that all it takes is like one ship at range 1 to really neuter your defense, enough to put a big smack in, right? So like having a 3-die gun bump up to 4, and then you're rolling 1 agility can just ruin your day. And
Makes
not
sense.
to mention there possibly being 2 of those.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Lebo being at 5. Are you talking about only in Scum or in Rebel as well?
No, not Rebel 1. Rebels are fine. Just Scum.
Yeah. So Scum Levo at 5. Honestly, you could probably put Scum Dash at 6 and just move them both down a point. Because I think that custom that standard loadout for Scum is not great. I don't think it brings a lot. There's not a lot of things that can work with it either.
Yeah, it's sad to say when the best thing about it is it's a missile.
Its missile is actually good, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're like, I'm excited to shoot the missile, but I'm not excited to fly the ship. No.
Yeah, to come and shoot
out.
that missile and then turn away and fly away.
A low bar, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Yikes. All right.
Yeah, and that ability of after you gain a red token, as a result of moving through or overlapping an obstacle, you may transfer that red token to a friendly ship at range 0 to 1. Almost like not usable, right?
Not really usable. Yeah. Well,
so
that is
yeah.
Unfortunate for Dash, though. I think it sounds like some small points tweaks might get them back into the forefront, but really it's the competitors in that same point slot is what's missing out. Ryan, should we do the fun question?
Yeah, let's not leave that one out. Gotta do that one.
Let's do that one for sure.
Thams the Boffin asks, would you rather fight a single Rancor-sized Porg or 50 Porg-sized? My thought on this one is I don't think it's a big deal if Porgs get bigger. I think it's more concerning when there's 50 Rancors of miniature sizing and they can just swarm you with their still sharp claws and teeth that want to eat stuff. So I'll take the Rancor-sized Porg.
Yeah, but you have to fight it.
Yep, I'll still take that. I think. I could be wrong, but I'll take the Rancor-sized Porg.
Those claws are terrifying on the Rancor. But it's 100. It's 100 of them. Did you say that right?
50.
50. Oh, I can handle
Porg-sized
50.
Rancors.
I think I'm going.
Porgs are still like what, the size of a small cat anyway.
Small cat.
Sure,
yeah.
Sure. To me, here's the difference. A Rancor-sized Porg can still fly. 50 Porg-sized Rancors cannot fly. We just got to get to the high ground.
The flying aspect is a concern. For sure. But a Rancor-sized Porg cannot fit in it cannot fit in small areas.
Just smashes them. Haven't you seen the owlbear from off the top rope?
Off the top rope?
That's what it's gonna be.
Don't go in a place that it can smash.
All right, so there's more and more problems arising.
Yeah, I'm still on the Porg-sized Rancors. Like, I think that would not be a huge problem. Because I think you could be the smash.
You're gonna lose both fights. So this is my take. A Porg will either step on you or squash on you or something, right? Like it's instant death. 50 tiny little Rancors. Imagine like just that's a slow, painful demise. Gruesome. So give me the quick and easy way out. I am not looking at.
Here's another clarifier.
It'd be like dying to a bunch of land piranhas. The 50 Porg-sized
Rancors. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. Here's another clarifier. Is this Return of the Jedi Rancor or is this Jedi Survivor Rancor?
These are stop motion animation Rancors.
Oh,
yes.
okay. I could deal with those. No, if we're talking about Jedi Survivor ones, like that's another thing. But the Return of the Jedi, where they're just like, I'm gonna get you. No, I can handle that. I think the ones that are leaping at me, in the Jedi Survivor game, no, I cannot handle that.
Not doing those. So
I assume whatever they can physically are capable of, no matter how they've been portrayed in certain sequences, I assume they can do everything that their physique allows.
all right. Well, so split on that. Couldn't come to a consensus. What other questions we got? Hit me with one of them.
All right, let's see. Here's an easy one. This should be super easy. Can Empire win without Vader?
Vader in
That's from
any
Stillwater.
way.
Yeah, specifically in any way, because then I will immediately slap down Vader crew on rap. But if it's no Vader at all, that's the discussion.
I think so. I mean, you can that double decimator, double bomber works. I wouldn't say just as well, but works without.
That has Darth Vader in it.
I said it works without crew. You can take those 14 points or 12 points, whatever he's at now.
Hard for me not to take a decimator without Vader crew right now, let alone double deci.
Yeah, I would say he'd be just fine. Like I played against one like the last time I was in store chat, and it was a tough match. His Vader didn't do anything meaningful, like a shield here, a shield there against yeah. So I would say yes, you can, and I think and not only that, you can also go something like like couple bombers and couple X1s, some maybe TIE Striker. TIE Striker being the only TIE Striker really that you're flying countdown. But you can also do a salad of things and still be okay. Now you're not taking the best list available, but you're taking stuff that's still competitive. There's plenty of stuff without a Vader that still works. A lot of I5 stuff, a lot of I6 stuff. The bombers are nasty. You can even just take 3 bombers, the 3 saturation salvo bombers, and that's only
10 points.
10 points? Yeah, 10 points, and that leaves you enough for like another 3-3-4. I think you're fine.
I mean, I think complete archetype that I feel like hasn't been even tried looks pretty viable that I built it. We saw the world's winning list was a 6-ship FO list that had 2 4 costs and 4 3 costs. And when I put something comparable to that in Empire, granted, the bar has raised across the game in terms of overall damage output, what this can do, etc., etc. But a 6-ship Empire with like Deathfire, Reimer, Telmax, Lareer, your 4 3-pointers, and then you got 2 4-pointers to choose from. You can do like Farah, Volscaris, Countdown, Merrick, Juno. A lot of options there, and a lot of ships that are doing decently well. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if someone decided to pick up 6-ship Empire with no Vader in the list at all. It seems like it could do all right. A lot of the pieces within the list right now are doing well. Are they doing well because Vader's in there in some capacity? Maybe. They're also doing well in general. Their own success rates across a multitude of various types of lists. So, I don't know. Like, I would try Farah, Volscaris, SL Deathfire, Custom Reimer, SL Tomax, and Lareer.
Interesting. What do you think, James?
Yeah, I think Vader is a crutch, and you guys need to stop using it.
Wow.
Direct into
Wow.
the
Vader pilot's a crutch. I agree with you. Vader crew. That's where it's at.
Yeah. Maybe I'm just a little bit tired of seeing the same boy out there. But yeah, mix it up. Fly Fly is something else. I mean, Vader is a big portion of that faction, but his name's on a lot of cards. But there's still a lot of good pieces in Empire.
Awesome. I
Yeah,
did want to hit Chris's question here. I had a different one highlighted, but that's I was talking about Chris Molly here with the question: with the current tournament format, do you think there is a way to incentivize players to play all 5 rounds instead of taking the intentional draw in the they say later rounds? As a note, it should only be the last round of Swiss. Is when you ID. Don't ID before them. Anyways, maybe 5-0 gets buys in the cut or something along those lines. Also, do you think we will get back to a top 24, 32, 64 cut instead of the current X points made day 2? So a lot of this references the current style of tournament that we've been experimenting with. Now, we as the general community, not Gold Squadron. The experimenting with the idea that you add extra Swiss rounds to date 2 versus going right into, say, just a top 16 or top 32 elimination rounds. Brian, I know you're a little bit more familiar with this than maybe I am. What are the real benefits of doing it either way?
So, I broadly know some of the conclusions that specifically Chris Allen came to. He did a ton of research leading up to last Adepticon, since he was leading up the organization of the tournament structure and multitude of other things for the event. And he found through his research, checking of other game types across tons of miniatures or not, right? Whether miniature game, whether skirmish game, whether army game, whether card game, he found that you get a better representation of the winners or the players who are successful across the entire event if the ratio of cut rounds to Swiss rounds favored more Swiss rounds. Now, granted, if we're talking, this is for like large scale worlds, world qualifiers, etc. Store championships, a lot of that comes down to other factors such as the store's time that you've allotted or given to play, what time the store closes. If you know a solid amount of the player base coming to your event, where they're coming from, what kind of travel they're dealing with. Can you make it more beneficial to them by beneficial to a majority of your player base by setting it up in a particular manner? Is it better to do 5 rounds of Swiss, or is it better to do 4 rounds of Swiss and cut to top 2, or 4 rounds of Swiss cut to top 4? It depends on the amount of people you have and the store itself that is having you run the event. But overall, what we saw at Worlds, and with pretty much every World Open qualifier in the US, or at least ones run by Chris Allen, or people who judged with Chris Allen before, is a 5-round main Swiss day, and then the cut day starts off with about 2 or 3 rounds more of Swiss, but not with everyone that played on the initial first day. It's with players that had meet a certain amount of points that they've earned through their victories or ties or losses, which loss would be 0 given to you. Accumulate enough points to make it to play in those extra rounds of Swiss on normally a Sunday. And then after that, it would go to normally a cut to top 8 or top 4. Most of the time, being based on attendance, it's been cut to top 4. So that they would end up with not only most of the time 7 rounds of Swiss and then 2 games played, which would essentially mean each player would have played both of the scenarios because they carry over throughout the whole Swiss, all through round 7 and the final top 4 game. Once you finally got to the final itself, it's completely random what scenario it is. So it also kind of matches up well with the scenarios, which is specific to X-Wing. But overall, it's mainly to find out, and I believe we've seen within most of the data or results that the players who are actually going undefeated throughout not only the main Swiss day but also final day 2 rounds of Swiss on Sunday, those players are making it to the top 4, right? If we instead did uh, a 5 rounds cut to top, say 16, that 16 does let more players in for the chance to play for the final or for higher placement, etc. But also means it's less likely because of, once you people, a lot of us know this. Once we get to the cut, it's kind of like matchup luck, a little bit of how things roll out in terms of like who you play next, if you make it past them, right? Because it's based upon the seedings, and sometimes you could be a 1 seed or a 2 seed and get matched up to this person barely made it in, but their list's like almost perfectly counters mine type of thing, right? Which can happen. Sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes it's a more average matchup. But what Chris looked at prior to that Worlds is a lot of the events that were ran that way that had like 5 or 6 rounds Swiss day and then just a strict this is cut to top 32 or 16 or 8. The undefeated or higher ranked players after that Swiss were not making it to the top 4 finals. And it's not like they should get past that, but it's not showing a good representation. Like the Swiss isn't doing its job if it isn't getting those top players in positions to make it to a higher placement as they've earned through Swiss. You haven't earned enough in 5 rounds of Swiss if it's not getting you into a position to, your play throughout that entire time is not rewarded in a way. If you're doing really well, you are just as rewarded by barely making it in as you are being the top person, right?
Right. You have equal footing once it gets into elimination round.
Exactly, right? So that's why a lot of times what Mo 718 is mentioning, or Chris is the person's name.
Chris, yeah.
Different Chris than Chris Allen.
Not Chris Allen.
Question, obviously. But what you'd see a lot of people do if it's just a 5 rounds cut to top X is you'll get the undefeateds, like me, for example, at Crossroads Classic, they did 5 rounds. They just did a top 8 cut. No problem. It's what they have set up for, what they have time for. I was 4-0 going into round 5. So was my opponent. And we ID'd with each other because we didn't care that we were going to be the top overall. Both of us, by IDing, also got top in faction for the Swiss day. Both of us were guaranteed into the cut, and there's no reason to play another game and wear ourselves out more and just take ourselves a break. Now, I don't think IDing in Chris's question here, Mo's question, should be seen as a bad thing. Players who can ID have earned the capability to do so by going undefeated up to that point. If players ID that are not undefeated, they either are misconstruing or not correctly doing the math to find out that that's not beneficial to them, or there's a super edge corner case that their ID still benefits them, which is so rare that I wouldn't even believe someone if they told me, probably. So in this case, this newer structure we're seeing that's been used at Worlds, that's been used at other World Open qualifiers ran by Chris Allen, and potentially others that have adopted it too, that I think like Mitch Hurst may have done this for GSG. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I think you guys were out there for that.
Yep, that's exactly what happened. Round 6 and 7, and then cut to top 8. So it's still 10 games total, but
yeah,
so the extra rounds.
So we're seeing with that no one's gonna ID in the main day of Swiss because you still need the points to make it to the top 4, top 8 by playing those other 2 Swiss rounds. For me at Nova, I went 5-0. I didn't want to ID because not IDing not only hurts you, it also hurts your opponent. Like it doesn't actually benefit
Doesn't work.
anybody realistically in those situations.
Right.
Again, in those earlier rounds, because the other 2 rounds of Swiss are going to still count for your total. So in Nova, when I was on Sunday, I had defeated my first round on Sunday, aka 6th round opponent in the full total Swiss. And then I was still undefeated, was going to be paired up against Winan, and we both ID'd with each other into the top 4 because we had both been completely undefeated through 6 rounds. Our 7th round wouldn't have mattered. We only could have potentially hurt each other by taking the risk of playing against each other. So we both ID'd to guarantee both of us were going to make it in. So I think that structure can help the general main Swiss day if that's what you're concerned about. But I don't think IDing should not be viewed in a negative manner. People who have the capability to correctly ID have earned that.
Okay. So really the incentive comes from it not being guaranteed that you've made the cut because of those 2 extra games of Swiss. So that has been a way to incentivize at least the day 1. If you're in like a day event, which is mostly what this is referencing. The only other way, because like at Crossroads, you said it was cut to day 2 was just top 8, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
It was
So
5 rounds cut to top 8. So that's why I was able to ID my last round in the main Swiss day.
right. So yeah, it really depends on the size of the event. Most of the events have been trying to do like more faction prizes, which I think is a great idea. To keep people playing, even those people who are like, well, I'm Xing too, but there's only, a handful of separatist players, so I still got a chance at it. Like those have been helpful to keep people playing those games, and I think that the only way to 100% relieve this issue might just be to have an undefeated prize, like whatever it's, even if it's just some extra tokens or something like that, right? Could be enough just to put something on the line for the top table, because that's as you were saying, right? Like the only people IDing should be the top table at the end of Swiss. No one else really has that luxury of doing it. So it's kind of a smaller problem to solve, but it sounds like in the bigger tournaments, hopefully the newer structure could alleviate some of that of the intentional draw. We are getting close to time, so we can hit a couple more questions here. If you guys just want to hit a question you have an answer for, we can pop off a couple more real fast here. James, Marcel.
Yeah, I was looking at the one
Psychedelic.
from Kingsley. What is a change you would make to the ability?
We can hear Marcel.
Oh, I didn't know. It's because the Bluetooth sometimes turns off.
I understand. We can hear it. We'll get to you next, though. We'll take James.
I don't know. No.
What is a change you would make to the ability of any currently banned pilot to bring them back to standard play and to make them thematic? I want to throw this one at you, Will, for Han resistance.
Han resistance. I want a. I've said it. I've gone on record before of just give us flavor text. Come on, just make the card blank. But if I had to give them ability for Han, I would I would love some way of like, essentially like a way of like negotiating his way out of a fight, if that makes sense. Like, like you can take a weapons disabled if you give a weapons disabled to an enemy at range 1.
Oh boy.
So you know that scene where he's just like, "Hey, hold up, everybody, stop shooting!" And
Yeah.
The Force
Oh, yeah.
Awakens.
Yeah. No, I think you need to take something worse. So
Well, a damage. You take a damage and disarm.
Yeah, I'm in on damage and a disarm, and you give a disarm to somebody else. I'm in on that. That sounds super fun.
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
and
whoa,
thematic.
whoa! We weaponizing disarms here?
Yeah,
They are.
but it's not a
Yeah,
7 point.
no,
Dang it.
out,
The
putting
the
everything
fun
in jail.
Okay.
the fun police, I guess.
That's
had
not
to
even.
come.
No, you call me the fun police. I'm saving fun by doing this.
Anyway, all right, Ryan, how would you show an X-wing that kind of way Han weasels out of every situation?
Is that how we view him in the Resistance? I guess the Force Awakens.
I mean, like old man
Yeah.
Han. The only way he's
Old man Han,
still
yeah.
old man Han is because he's swindled everybody out of the galaxy, right? There's that whole.
Yeah, but he's
scene.
kind of like got caught up to, right? Like they just completely called his bluff on him too.
That's what I love. Yeah, he could only get out of the situation a little bit, just enough to keep fighting.
It's probably gonna be something like you can do a thing unless your opponent does a thing that has some amount of consequences, and then you get to do less of a thing.
So like,
I don't know what those things
like,
would be.
So this is like a
like
Hondo pilot kind of situation.
yeah.
Where
So
like
when you engage, you can get a focus unless your opponent at range, like
unless your target or the defender like gains a deplete or a strain,
Yeah,
then you just get a calculate.
calc instead. Yeah, calc instead. Yeah.
Still seems like a pretty good benefit for Han though.
Yeah, he always gets something out of it, but
or like I don't know if
is there a
when
way you
Han
could,
but before you engage, you may choose a ship in your firing arc. That ship may choose to take it may be like a 000 style effect, right? Just a different version or different tokens associated with it, but just not so one-sided all the time, I guess. Like something that will actually allow you to call Han's bluff, essentially.
see that's what I want to see is actually like
you
a
want some
sabak
hidden mechanic.
No, I don't want like hidden
bluff.
anything like or sabak. Like I just want to like I don't want to be like 000 so automatically is like just give me the calc type of thing, right? Like it needs to be something that I think generally still benefits Han, but like your opponent can totally just like, no, I'm gonna call you on this and take this one token bad for me. I don't like you're not gonna get that thing as good as you think you are.
How about Han gets a lock on you, or you get deplete and strain?
I don't know. It could be any variation of those types.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, I think that's cool. I think it's also be interesting a ship not in your arc at range 0 to 1. Where
you know what could be kind of interesting. So, all right. So I like the lock idea, kind of. But like Han's like, all right, before you engage, you may pick someone in your firing arc. You may gain a lock on that ship. If that ship chooses to take some bad token, whatever it is, I don't know what, then Han gains a jam, right? But think about this. Han's gaining the jam. He still gets to choose which token goes away with that jam. So if he has only a lock, he would lose it. But if he has a focus from taking his action during his main activation phase and has a lock, he would then lose one of those of his choice. So he gets to pick the one he keeps, basically. But the defender forced that jam on them by taking some bad token of some type. Who knows?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm kind of looking for. I think.
So I think I see where you're going with it. I can combine all those ideas, and it's before you engage, choose a ship. Either you both get calculates or you both get jams. The opponent's choice.
Oh,
So now
that's-
Oh wow.
that's interesting.
Oh yeah, that could be interesting too.
because there's a lot of ships who won't jam themselves, who will absolutely refuse to jam themselves.
That is actually super cool and very Han. Like,
He's like, all right, I can both give like that is very like that scene because there's two like I mean, granted, one of them's Han
Sure.
versus the two other like crime syndicate groups he was trying to like, oh no, we're
Mhm.
good and whatever, like trying to not have the situation blow up. But it's
Mhm.
sort of like, okay, no, you pay me, then I give you the thing, and they're like, no, that's not enough. Like you're gonna take this, and I'm not gonna get paid either then, right?
Right. We all get paid or we all get shot. Either.
Yeah.
Han's, you gotta choose one for Han there. Yeah, I just see the Han player just trying to make some deals. They're like, well, the calculate won't be that bad for you. Honestly, could be pretty beneficial.
I'm actually super in on the calc or jam for both players. That's super funny. I would even say like don't even give it like a range restriction maybe.
Well, in arc.
Oh, in arc, please.
In arc, okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
Wow.
please, in arc.
Your Falcon with a silent. Fine.
All right. Well, that was some fun speculation. Marcel, you got a question that you can give us an answer to? Or I can give you a question.
You are a question.
Okay. Well,
Let's see. Yeah, I was gonna say current favorite pilot or upgrade. I don't know if it's current favorite, but just basically a combo that's for fun. And he wrote for profit, but I don't know what he meant by profit. I think he just meant that actually might be playable. A combo that I enjoy that I don't play and I don't think is very good overall, but it's just fun, is the two tubes, the two tubes, tubes,
4 tubes.
which is the U-wing and with perceptive, and the X-wing two tubes, which is when you have a focus and engage, you can take an action, and it essentially turns into like a four action X-wing, because you can do something like a focus, and then before you engage or something like that, you can take an action, so you can like focus boost, I think it is, because you receive a focus,
Mm-hmm.
and
Benthic
then you
hands the
do like a
token out.
boost.
Benthic hands the token out, so you can focus boost.
Focus
before your
boost, and especially if you got Jyn Erso, so you handed an evade. Well, you handed a focus, but then you evade boost. Focus turns into an evade boost, and then you move with a blue maneuver, and then you can take a target lock or barrel roll, whatever. You close your wings, so you can get with like a focus, evade, target lock, and boost all in the same. Again, it's not great, because at the end of the day you got two initiative 2 ships, but I mean an X-wing with 3 or 4 actions every turn is also just not.
What's
fun.
2 tubes? Does he have a missile? Is that what he has now? He doesn't.
I don't
have
even
a
know what he has. Let's see what he's got
torpedo?
right now.
I like
Let's see,
10 loadout with missile.
Edrio
and
2
illicit.
tubes. So yeah, he's only got missile and elusive, so he's not
So
basically.
you do proc it, but it's a choice.
You can cloak him. I don't know what you would want to.
It is a cloak action, so it's true. You can.
Yeah.
No, I just proc it, dead man.
But yeah, I think actually the Procket is not terrible.
I mean,
That wouldn't be bad. Like a
so many-
Procket dead man
so
or
many target lock. You get target lock so easily, though.
yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
to line up that double modified 5-die attack.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Can you fit false? I mean, false concussion. feel like.
False concussion. Okay. All right. I'm in on that.
Or clusters. I guess you can do false.
I think
cluster.
clusters, yeah.
False clusters.
But
Paint a target.
or you can just
go and blast them.
yeah. No, but I like that. Just a proton rocket, dead man with a focus of 8 target lock, and a reposition in there just for kicks as well.
Like, oh, you're gonna shoot the guy that has dead man? That's a smart idea. He has evade focus, so
Interesting.
and a lock on you.
I do like that. That's pretty fun. Ryan, got a last question, one you want to make sure we hit before we get out of here?
Yeah, I think we can hit Sean W's here. We could just do a quick roundtable of he's just asked what's missing in each faction. I will leave it up to you to take that generalized question and answer it how you believe he's saying the context of what's missing. Is it competitive missing? Is it actual ships that he wants to be released missing? Is it just pieces of the game and design space that aren't used in some factions that other factions do get? Like, however you want to interpret that, go for it. Start with Marcel.
What did I say? I would say a first order large base ship in standard play is missing.
James?
Interesting.
I think we're missing something in Republic for large base as well. Funnily enough, I don't.
It's right there.
I think
Okay,
it has one pilot in Republic.
Yeah,
They have a gauntlet, right?
They do.
Oh my gosh, get out of here with
That's a
these
large
gauntlets. Gauntlets don't count. Everyone has gauntlets.
Not the single factions.
Not the first order.
Not the first order. You're right. But I think that they're still missing. Like the Hawk sort of fits that role, but I feel like they're really still missing a big piece, like a large base ship that is unique to their faction.
So
I don't know what that would.
That G9 rigger.
That could be the G9 rigger. I do like the
So ugly.
Twilight.
It's
The Twilight.
It's so ugly. It's also enormous. They would have to not put it 270 or whatever.
I also feel like it'd be a nightmare to actually put on a stand. Like, where's the center point of balance on this thing?
You have to put it upside down. It's always flying upside down.
I mean, is I don't know. I mean, the you just have to make it stand on its wing, which would be weird, but kind of like I was gonna call them shrimps, but
So in Armada, they do have ships that, like the MC-75 has a not dorsal. What's it on the bottom? But it has a bottom wing like that, and they just like slightly offset it to where it's not perfectly centered on it.
Interesting.
The peg isn't.
Okay. All right. Well, that's Republic
what about
and First Order. Mine
Yeah.
is Scum. Scum is missing anybody with linked actions. They have 2 ships, the Rogue, and they have the Fang, and no other ship can link an action. I was going through the other day and looking for 3-point ships who could boost, and I found a couple M3As and a couple of Z95s with enough loadout to bring afterburners and almost nothing else, or Quinn Jest with Burnout Slam. Does have a reliable way to, that was in air quotes, way to forward reposition. Otherwise, you gotta basically like trade out your cannon or all the funny stuff Lichos is doing, which is not effective. I guess Nadru, I believe, is also 3 points and can take afterburners, but none of them can do it natively like an A-Wing or a V-Wing can, and it's Torrents have linked actions. Let me just throw that one out there. What a ship we say is like one of the very worst. Vultures have linked actions. Everything, I feel like, not like new, but like recent, have linked actions, except for maybe like Z95s, but they cost 2 points these days. The ones being flown, anyways. So somehow Scum has to figure out a way to get linked actions. I was trying to propose on Wednesday Ryan, imagine a cannon. It's just a 2 dice forward arc cannon. But it says after you perform an action, you can perform a red boost action.
I guess I'm throwing it on my T70s because it's just a free cannon slot that I get to do a focus boost for.
That's a good point. I'll include you lose your primary.
Oh, I don't have a 3 dice attack anymore. I'm out.
Well, these then 3As all of a sudden turn into A-wings, though, is the essential goal that I'm trying to do.
It also
just so you know,
uses your illicit slot, or you have to have an illicit equipped.
just so you know, also
Seeks don't have illicit anymore, right?
No.
At least one of them does, maybe.
No, none of them have illicit.
the jump master has linked actions. Well,
Yeah.
All right, everybody. It's been.
I think you're fixating on the linked actions too much because clearly vultures have linked actions and they suck. So, I think.
I mean, fair.
How about like Scum having a 3-die primary on a small base outside of the Fang Fighter? Because there's literally nothing in the realm of
I'll solve all of your problems at once. Just make Star Vipers legal.
I was going to
again.
say, is it 4-point Star Vipers? Because I'm in on that.
Yeah, let's bring back Star Vipers or make one of the Scum ships that we see fighting the Mandalorian in the TV show.
I don't want
new, the game and
I
have
don't
a
want
3-die primary
new
attack.
ships, though. This is the problem, is that they have so many bad old ships that just aren't getting played.
Yeah, but we want new ships because there's what's actually in the TV shows and movies.
I mean, that's true. That's true. All right. Well, what other factions? We said Scum, First Order, GAR.
Hard to say anything besides what we mentioned that Scum is missing from the OG factions. I think it's mostly prequel or sequel. I'm gonna say I feel like I don't think this solves enough in Separatist, but I think I commonly get to a point where I feel like low cost crew either is non-existent in Separatist or is just bad. At least most of the other crew available in other factions, not all of them are not all the cheap ones are good, but they have cheap ones that are reasonable. Like, sure, we have Dooku crew, Palp crew, Savage crew. Here's your force points, basically. Bo-Katan, okay-ish. Probably a little high when you just pay a little more and you get a force charge anyway. But yeah, I think I'd like to see some good average to cheap costing crew in Separatists for those HMPs, or the Infiltrator, maybe the Fire Spray. I mean, again, the faction has a lot more issues outside of just give it a cheap crew, right? Like, what's actually missing in content, I think it's good cheap crew in Separatists. What's actually missing for the faction itself is the ability to play a droid-centric list and have a feeling that you can win.
Your line of thought about crew makes me think of like a Sheathipede release could dump a bunch of crew into the faction.
Ooh.
But would you
forget the Sheath?
Would you take a 3-point Sheathipede over a 3-point HMP?
I mean, if it lets me take Dooku crew at the same time, that's a strong consideration. If it can coordinate and have Dooku crew, the Dukapede.
That's all.
The Dukapede.
The Dukapede.
Yeah, no, I've been thinking about that one for a while. Like, yeah, if they come out like a 3-point Sheathipede, that still gets to coordinate, but also has Dooku crew. That's something I would try. Yeah, I would assume if that
Interesting.
comes out, we would get like some of the Nemoidians, like Nute Gunray or Rune
Yeah.
Hongo, or some of
Yeah.
the people generally on that like Separatist Council in Episode 2 that wasn't Dooku,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Wat Tambor crew.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Oggle the Lesser
missing.
crew, right? Like there's a ton of those actually exist in Armada right now, but not
Yeah.
in X-Wing.
Interesting.
There's a ton of Armada crew that have been slowly making a resurgence lately. They've released a couple, and yeah, it's been pretty cool to be able to see all those different faces that that you know and hate. But I think it would be super cool to get some more crew in there, because even if it's just on the HMPs, I just feel like they're so lacking. Like I want to reach for a crew, but I'm just like, oh,
Want-
these are all terrible.
If you're
I
down to
want-
like Django crew and novice technicians, like I mean, at that point, I'm taking a seismic charge instead.
Yeah.
I want a Want Tambor crew / relay. I want them to be both.
What if it's a Wat
Oh.
Tambor that gives you an ability and a relay slot?
Oh, it gives you a relay slot. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
but it's maybe
no.
like a maybe like a capped amount that you could put in there.
No, I
right?
just want him to be somehow both the cheap crew and good relay. We've been desperately looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
maybe.
even if it's expensive, like if he's like,
The only upgrades you need, right?
yeah, if he's like, the same points as Kraken,
Yeah, like I don't know if he's the same points as Kraken, and it's like, hey, everyone who has got to calculate on their action bar gets another attack dice at the cost of a strain. Like,
Mm-hmm.
maybe sign me up.
Yeah,
Sure.
because that's essentially the Xi shuttle in FO.
Gideon, kind of.
Gideon. Thank you. Yeah.
Sure, be neat to just have everyone shoot before you, and then you strain yourself, and then shoot really well back at them.
Yeah, and then remove the strain because you're on a rock. Oh no, actually you don't, right? Because it's only
No,
stress
you
you
only
remove.
your
You actually
stress.
don't. You're right.
Oh,
There's a little bit of a balance point there, sir.
I'm in on that. Sounds
Okay,
super cool,
okay.
actually.
Droids training themselves. Okay.
Yeah, it
Yes.
actually
Interesting.
makes you actually want to have to fly the vultures if it's vultures, right? You could just be flying
No.
HMPs if you want,
these-
and they just
these
have
are on rocks.
3 die 180s the whole time. Yeah, baby.
Oh boy.
Yikes! I don't know about that. We're gonna have to say no. We're never.
Look, I want people to be scared of droids again for once in their
Hey,
lives.
I mean, you get-
Some people have never seen the light of droids being scary. They're new to the game, and that's cool. Welcome, new players. You've never seen a droid-centric list that has scared you since Worlds 2019.
I guess so. Well, what factions? So just the LG ones. Oh, we didn't say resistance.
I mean, it needs a medium base somewhere, right?
T85.
Oh man, T85 medium would be super cool. I don't
Yeah,
think it's that much bigger, but it's
I think
the
it's pretty
cool
close
factor.
to Arc 170, isn't it? Let me look this up. T85. Size. Cost length. 51 feet. Width 44 feet. Arc 170.
You said 44 feet for the width.
Yeah.
Wait, that can't be right.
Yeah.
It says
Width-
no,
width of T85.
20 meters for the Arc 170 is.
Oh,
the
I'm
width.
reading the T85.
Yeah, I'm looking at Arc 170. It's 20 meters.
Yeah, the T85 is bigger in Arc 170.
You're reading feet. I'm reading meters.
Okay, meters. I was still looking. So meters in length for the T85 is 15.68 meters. The Arc
Wow.
170 is 12.71.
Wow.
The width of a T85 is 13.65 meters.
Why is it so
The
big?
width of an Arc 170 is bigger, but it's longer. So yes, a T85
Oh.
would be very comparable to an Arc 170 size.
Why,
That is
why
actually
it,
like pretty close.
why is it so big? Is there extra crew? How many
It-
droid
it's
slots
just
does
it's
it
just
have?
it's just super
Just
long. The
beefier.
nose is super long. Yeah.
Just big, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
Got the wings. Really, capital W-I-N-G. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because the T65 is 13 meters long, and this one's 15. So it's a little bit extra nose, you know.
All
I
that
could see
nose.
that. That'd be fun, like an Arc
Yeah,
170 equivalent.
but I wouldn't make it like fly like an arc. Like my
No,
my
no, no. Yeah,
equivalent
make
to
it
what it would
fly like an
essentially be
X-wing.
like.
Yeah.
It'd be like flying like an X. It'd be similar to people who have tried flying the IG pilots in Scum. Like it's just a forward.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but instead of sloops, it's got the Talon rolls. It's got a decent dial across the board, but it's just a 3-die attack. It's just a larger version of just a front arc based ship.
Hmm.
85
Interesting.
medium
I
base.
never thought about that. All right. Well, clearly, that's what Resistance is missing.
Yeah,
is there-
more 3-die guns. Let's how
I
many,
think it'd
how
be
many
cool if
3-die
like
guns can we fit?
T85 couldn't reposition with a white reposition unless it's in the system phase. I don't know if I would give it both barrel roll or boost, but then if it's system phase, it's kind of like sometimes it's harder that you like once you're in the scrum, you can't, right? But maybe
Especially on a
you're
medium.
yeah,
yeah.
it's much bigger space you have to worry about like trying to fit around. But also at the same time, they become like ailerons, but you don't get to choose when you activate. You actually have to choose in the system phase whether you barrel or boost. Maybe you have to open or close the foils, and then one side lets you boost, one side lets you barrel roll in the system phase. And then like, but you still have booster barrel roll on your ship card, but they're both red, add as a base action. But in system phase, they'd be white, kind of like how the FO bomber has a red boost,
Yeah.
but in the system phase,
Yeah.
it gets a regular white boost.
Interesting. I like that. I like that. Anything missing out of Rebels or Empire? Maybe two of our more complete factions. I mean, other than Lambda, can we just say Lambda? Leave it at that for Empire.
Yeah, it was Lambda Bomber, but now it's just Lambda, right?
Now it's just Lambda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. Give us give us more interesting pilots, more interesting ways to fly the Lambda, other than just a brick
Side
out there. Oh, side
slipping.
Here, side slipping Lambda out of here.
Yeah.
At least give me
if-
like
if-
a wing configuration or something out of it. Jeez.
Yeah.
It's got moving
Seiko,
parts.
Seiko can do 4Ks. What's
Get outta
up,
here.
Lambda?
Get outta here.
I mean, Hark can do the side slip. I could see like having like one pilot like Hark kind of thing.
I guess. I don't know. Does Harks help? I don't think so. All right, but Rebels, is there any? I'm trying to think of like any named characters in the Rebels that we never saw. I mean, there's like the Iron Squad could be.
I was gonna say Iron
interesting
Squadron.
one.
Yeah.
Interesting like post-release for Rebels, but it's not necessarily a new ship. Not really. I mean,
Well, updated E-wing, right? Ahsoka? Hello?
that's not Resistance.
It's New Republic. I don't know how they would.
All right,
Both. Both.
Both. It's always been both. That was the
Always
answer all
both.
along.
Make it both. More factions available, more people can
All
buy
right.
it. Both.
Yeah, I mean, I can't fault that logic. That is definitely not part of the Resistance, but there's like New Republic pilots in the Resistance as well. So
There's also Rebel
Sure.
pilots in the New Republic.
there you go, full
Yeah,
circle.
so
There.
easy answer. Make it both. You're more likely to sell it to your customers that way when if it's available for
True.
multiple
Well,
factions. Ergo,
yeah.
also a sound money decision on
Yeah.
the product.
Also Republic.
Smart.
Yeah.
Ugh. No.
No, What?
Give me some
No.
Force users in there too.
no,
Uh,
even worse. No, stop it. It's deal's getting worse the whole time. It's just a more
No.
powerful 7B at
It'll be
that
fine.
point.
It'll be fine.
Well, I do want to thank everybody who submitted questions. I know we couldn't get to them all, but we'll tuck them away, and hopefully we can touch on them in later episodes. But for our streams, don't forget, check out Wednesdays. We'll be on there. Check it for news coming up about streaming the XTC finals. That's in December. Should be about the first weekend of December, but as I get more information, I can let you guys know about that potential upcoming stream. Is there anything I'm missing from you guys? My bookend is that I'm going to a store championship in Iowa. If you're in the Iowa area, which is a big state, but if you're near the state of Iowa, come down to First Turn Games on, should be Saturday, November 4th. Check out their Facebook page for more details, but they're running a store championship there. We're hoping to get, obviously, the 16 players, but anybody who can come down would be awesome to join us this weekend. Anything happening in you guys' neck of the woods? James, Orion? I know you've both done a bunch of store championships already.
Yeah, I think there's a store champ in 2 weeks, but I don't know if I'll be able to go because I have other plans already scheduled, but we'll see. If I'm able to go, I definitely will.
Cool.
I think Kayla's got one on November 18th here in Chicago. I can't go. I got another commitment, but Kayla's going to play.
Awesome.
And then I think we have another one on December 10th as well, but I don't know if we're signed up for that one or not.
Cool. I'll be excited to hear about her win. Obviously, gonna take it all, right? With you there, just stopping her from every tournament.
Actually, last tournament, even though I was in the final, she ended up in second because so if
that's what I'm saying. I think this is her time.
Yeah.
I can feel it.
Yeah, if I beat the way that it played out, since I was one of only two people with a ticket already.
Mm-hmm.
If I won, or if the other person that already had a ticket, then the 3 and 1s would have all like went into like a tiebreaker type of situation. So
cool.
Anyway,
I think she'll be just fine. She's been rocking it lately, so exciting stuff from everybody here at Gold Squadron. Stay safe, stay smart. We'll see you next time. Gold Squadron out.
Thank you to ISO, Danko, Baffle, Trojan, Prophet, Shadow, Tycho, Spice, Raider, Lancer, Fallen, Row 6, 626, Chief, and J List, our Grand Admiral patrons. And all of our Gold Squadron patrons and community members, thank you for your support. Gold Squadron out.